This is the SAU Report, a program featuring interviews with the faculty, staff, students, and alumni of Southern Arkansas University in Magnolia.
Welcome to this edition of the SAU Report. I'm Cara Guinn.
And I'm Lisa Stegall.
Today our guest is Dr. Daniel Ball, Academic Vice President and President of Lander University. Dr. Ball, tell us about Lander University, where it is, and its similarities to SAU.
Well, Cara, Lander is in South Carolina, the northern part of the state. It's very much like SAU in terms of enrollment, size, and programs. It's been in existence since 1872. Started out as a women's college and evolved to what is now a state-assisted state university.
When did you first believe that you had the qualifications to be a university president?
Well, Lisa, I don't even know whether I have the qualifications or not. I think maybe I have the qualifications to begin being a president. Being in administration was sort of an evolutionary process. I was asked to do some administrative work a long time ago, and then I was asked to do increasingly more. And so as a result, I've graduated from faculty ranks, so to speak, into administration on a gradual basis.
You had been a finalist for other presidential vacancies. What qualifications did Lander Search Committee find most appealing in you?
You know, I don't know. You'll have to ask them, I suppose. Probably, if you could compare SAU to Lander, many of the things that we're doing here successfully appeal to them. For example, we've increased our enrollment. We're committed to quality. We're committed to students. We're committed to the community. And we're committed to the arts and sciences, and particularly the latter. That is a large part of their mission, to do arts and sciences there. And so those things probably helped me some.
What types of items do you place in a vitae or a cover letter that makes presidential search committees take your application seriously?
Well, I think you need to be open, frank, honest, and to the point in a letter of application. What your philosophy of leadership is, how you manage people, and what you believe to be important role of a president or any role of a position that you may be applying for. So be open, blunt, honest, and as succinct as possible.
What made the position of Academic Vice President appealing at SAU when you applied in 1993?
Well, you know, a friend of mine where I was previously at Idaho State University used to work at SAU. Bob Pierce, Dr. Pierce, came by my office one day and said, "Dan, you need to take a look at Southern Arkansas University Vice President for Academic Affairs position. You'd be good at it." So that's how I initially found out about it. And then at that time I was not familiar with getting on the web, and I'm not even sure the web existed in '93. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't, but I went to the library, got a catalog of SAU, began looking through the catalog, and thought it might be worthwhile to apply.
What is a zero-based budget?
In the circles where I've worked, zero-based budgeting means that in each of the budget years you start essentially from zero. For example, if you were a biology department and your budget was $1 million last year, you would start at $0 this year and build your request for resources for the next year, justifying through planning or goals and objectives what you need the resources for. And so, unlike non-zero based budgeting, you have to justify the resources on a regular basis, either yearly, annually, or biannually, however the organization may be set up.
Right. Now, Dr. Gamble instituted a zero-based budget, and he also established many committees when he came to SAU. What are your priorities at Landers? Do you think you'll be doing similar things?
I've learned a lot from Dr. Gamble and from my colleagues at SAU. My focus at Lander will be on strengthening the service mission of the institution with a focus on quality and a focus on students, much like it is here at Southern Arkansas University. Certainly resources and garnering those resources will be an obligation and responsibility of mine. and I will spend a considerable amount of my time and effort in helping the institution get those resources that they need to be a better institution.
What do you think is the most important thing that you've received from teaching or learned from teaching?
Well, I know that there's always a better way of doing things. I learned how to do the job a little better each time I've taught classes, each time I work with different groups of students. The teaching is not necessarily a skill, but it's an art, and that you get better at it through lots of experiences, and your students teach you how to be a good teacher, and good students teach you how to be a better teacher.
Do you have any regrets or second thoughts about any decisions you made here as academic vice president?
You know, I don't think so. I believe that the people I've had to work with have been very supportive and helpful and given me good advice, and most of the times the advice they've given me has been good, and I've taken it, and we've been successful. And I attribute that to the good folk that work here at SAU.
The most recent issue of the college newspaper indicated friction between departing art faculty and the administration. Can you shed some light on this for us?
Well, I read the same article you read, and I was a little surprised by it. I can't speak for people that have hard feelings. I certainly did not have any hard feelings or I didn't feel friction between myself and members of the art faculty. If that friction is there, to me it's artificial. I really didn't feel that. Now, I've heard rumors in small towns and in small universities and in small businesses and corporations, rumors sometimes get blown out of proportion. I really don't think it's as big a deal as maybe it appeared to be.
While leaving is exciting, there are many mundane things you have to do, such as packing. When are you going to start your moving process, you and your wife?
Well, I put a sign out in front of the house last week, trying to sell the home. Marge and I have moved several times in the last 35 years. We're getting pretty good at it. We've thrown away a lot of things over the years, and so we'll probably start sometime early part of June, and hopefully we'll be able to move the latter part of June.
You've been preparing most of your adult life for this moment. How does it feel to finally be a college president?
Well, I'm not one yet, but it's an humbling experience. I'm grateful, and sometimes I feel overwhelmed by the responsibilities. Dr. Gamble has taught me how to worry, and so I've begun to do a little of that. But I feel that the people that are at Lander University, just like the people that are here at Southern Arkansas University, will make me successful. And so the people that you work with are the ones that deserve the credit for any improvements or achievements or accomplishments. And so the president usually gets the credit for it. He or she probably doesn't deserve the credit. Sometimes they get the blame for bad things and that happen or might happen, and oftentimes they get blamed for that and don't deserve the blame. So, but a president is there to take the blame and the credit for the people that they work with.
So have you been able to meet most of your faculty and staff that you'll be working with?
I've met all the senior staff. I've met the deans and the directors, many faculty. We had a faculty meeting on a Saturday there 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I believe there were over 50 faculty that came out on a Saturday to chat with me. I was quite pleased with that. There are many more important things to do on Saturday morning than come visit with a presidential candidate, in my judgment. But at any rate, I've had an opportunity to meet many, many people there, including people in the community.
Have you been examining Lander's budget or student enrollment, and will you be discussing any issues with Lander's president?
Dr. Bill Moran is the current president, and we've visited on several occasions. As a matter of fact, I visited with him last night about a couple of issues that have come up, and we have talked some about budget and about enrollment. And so those are always concerns of a president because they're related. And so, and it'll be no different at Lander than it is at SAU. Those will be high priorities.
In your career, you've been a dean, academic vice president, and now president. What are the differences in each position?
There are probably more similarities than differences. You're asked to make decisions or pass judgment on particular issues or items that come before you. I've always tried to look at data and evidence information before making a decision, and I think that goes at the dean. It's true for the dean's level, vice president, or presidential level. Maybe the difference at the presidential level is that the decision you make may be more visible and perhaps more far-reaching than a vice president's, and a vice president's may be more far-reaching than a dean's, but they all have tough jobs, and in many ways they're all equally tough.
You spend time interviewing finalists for faculty positions. What are some of the traits you look for in those applicants?
Well, one of the things I want to feel comfortable about all applicants before we would offer them a job is that they are committed to students and that they articulate that in no uncertain terms, that they have a good grasp of their discipline in which they may be teaching, and they understand a little bit about higher education culture and ability to express themselves, and just try to find out if they're a good human being. And so those are the things that you look for in all candidates. And then there may be some other more specific kinds of credentials or skills depending upon the discipline or the area in which you're hiring.
What activities do you expect to involve yourself in school-wise or community-wise at Lander?
Well, they tell me that the president works is a 7-day-a-week job, 24 hours a day, and so I would guess that my staff and the community and my board of trustees will fill my time with lots of things. They say a president's time is not his or her own. They pretty much schedule and calendar you most of the time. But I would hope that I could be a member of a service organization in the community, perhaps help work with the Chamber of Commerce. Certainly with our development office, I'll be involved in fundraising, and with our alumni, in helping the alumni support the institution. And then I plan to do many of the same things I do here as vice president. I want to visit with every candidate that comes on campus that I can visit with. The most important thing a president can do is hire good people, and so the hiring process will be important to me, and I'll try to stay involved with that as much as I can.
Being involved in the hiring process as president, what general things for any college student can you give as something that they should act on when they're applying for jobs? What should they emphasize?
I think one of the important things you need to do if you're applying for a job is learn a little bit about the corporation or the business or the school where you're applying, so try to be impressive with the interviewers, that you know something about them, because they have a vitae in front of them about you. So you probably need to take a look at the corporation or the business or whatever it might be. I think you need to be articulate, you need to be alert, attentive, you need to also ask questions. Don't feel that they're going to ask all the questions. You need to ask questions and ask knowledgeable questions about them, about their corporation, about the job. Perhaps refrain from asking about salary until later on in the interview. Give them the opportunity to tell you what the salary range might be. I know we all are interested in the salary, but you'll eventually get to that point. Be yourself.
SAU is known for certain departments, such as the School of Business. What is Lander known for?
Well, business is a college at Lander also. They have business, education, and nursing, very much like SAU. I believe the big difference academically is that they may have a little stronger emphasis on the arts and sciences there than we do here at SAU. And then, of course, they don't have agriculture. We have a big program in agriculture here. So there are some different things about Lander, and there are some similarities. We don't have football at Lander, and they have football at SAU, but we also have soccer at Lander, and they don't. So there are lots of little differences, but a lot more similarities.
As an educational leader, what are some of your goals, and how has that changed over the years?
Well, my main goal in any leadership position in higher education will be to focus on student performance and student achievement. That's the business we're in, and if we can improve that, and any way that we can improve that, would be something I would be interested in, and probably you have a soft spot in my heart. If a faculty member or a dean or a vice president or a student could come to me and say, here's what I want to do, here's an idea, and it'll help student performance or student achievement, I'll listen. And maybe even open up the purse strings a little bit, loosen the purse strings for those. So student achievement, student performance, high priority with me. Quality is important. And the mission of the institution must be served, and sometimes we overlook what the mission is of an institution. We always need to reflect on what that is as we spend taxpayer and donor money.
Were there any teachers or administrators along your way who influenced you to go to the direction that you've gone so far?
A lot of people, almost too many to name, but I'll try to name a couple. I had a chemistry professor once tell me that be careful how you treat students, because someday they may be your boss. He told me that when I was 21. I've never forgotten it, and it's been good advice. Steve Gamble's helped me be a better person and a better leader. He taught me how to worry, like I said earlier. He taught me how to ask some tough questions, and probably the faculty at every institution where I've worked have influenced me in terms of their commitment to the professional world which they serve. Their role modeling has made me, I guess, be appreciative of everything I've been able to accomplish and be grateful for it.
What are qualities that attracted you to Landers?
Well, it's intimacy. It's small. It's a small state school. It is an old school. Has some tradition. It has some roots that are attractive to me, much like SAU. It is committed to quality and committed to the liberal arts and sciences. It's committed to students, and it has potential for greatness. It's strategically located in a booming economy with a larger population base from which to grow. Interstate travel is there. Airports are close by. It's a resort kind of opportunity for people to come to South Carolina and maybe live. So it may have better opportunities for growth than Southern Arkansas University. So that was appealing to me.
Earlier we were talking about you moving, and we asked possibly, had you found a house yet? Would you mind sharing with us a little bit about that?
Sure. The university provides housing for the president, and it's an old two-story brick home that's delightful. And so I don't have to worry about taking out a mortgage out there. I do have to worry about selling my home here. So we'll be living on campus. It's a nice, gracious old home. And we're looking forward to that because it's a little more convenient to attend plays and recitals and concerts and ball games and the other things that happen on a campus.
Where are some of the other places that you've lived throughout your teaching career?
Well, I'm almost a gypsy. I've lived in Missouri, Indiana, Idaho, Colorado, North Carolina. Lived a couple summers in the Virgin Islands, North Carolina. Most of my time has been spent in Missouri, Indiana, and Arkansas. And of all the places I've lived, there's one thing that I find in common, and that is people are about the same wherever you go. They all have mostly the same goals and aspirations, and they've always treated me better than I deserve. And my wife says I shouldn't say that, but that's true. People have treated me better than I deserve.
Well, now that you've achieved presidential status, do you think you'll stay at Lander for a while?
Well, I hope I can stay there a while. To make a difference, it takes some time, and I hope that I can make a difference there. And one of the board of trustees members asked me, how long do you plan on staying here? Dr. Ball, you can probably go anywhere you want to go. And I said, well, I'm planning on staying here forever. And that's true. I plan to stay at SAU forever, too.
Well, that may have answered my question, but when did you originally start the search for Lander in the South, or did you just say, hey, wherever?
Well, we love the South, and I'm just tickled that we're going to get to stay in the South. Actually, the location while it's important, is probably not the most important reason a person would seek a particular institution. Fortunately, Lander's in the South, and so that just makes it like icing on the cake.
And where did you go to college at?
Lots of places. I got my undergraduate degree at Truman State University. It's a state school in Missouri. Had a former name of Northeast Missouri State University. Got my master's at Duke University in North Carolina, and my doctorate at the University in Northern Colorado. And I've taken some classes at other places, Southern Illinois University, for example. And so, those are the three places where I spent a lot of my time.
Do you think it was a gradual progression to presidency, or did you, at an early age, say, that's what I want to be?
Well, I kind of thought I might want to be a president. Never did know whether I would ever do it or not, but it was a combination of just a gradual progression through the administrative processes and ranks. And when I became vice president here, I thought more about becoming a president.
Do you miss teaching students?
Well, you know, I do in a way, but I also still teach students many times, every day. I'm with students. I visit with students and try to help them every day. And I have taught a seminar here on campus, the freshman honor seminar, for a few years. I didn't teach any this year, and I do miss that. And as president, I plan on trying to at least steal a class to teach at Lander if they'll let me do it. So I plan on doing that.
You've been teaching for over 30 years, is that correct?
Oh, don't remind me of that.
Well,
That's correct.
Okay, what will be some of your first initiatives that you've learned throughout the years that you can take from that?
From my teaching experience, well, that every person is an individual, needs to be treated that way, treated with dignity and respect, whether they're a custodian or a secretary or a student or a vice president or a board member or governor. I think people deserve that. We're all here for a short amount of time, and we need to make the most of the time we're here. And I think helping other people is the greatest satisfaction that anyone can have, and that's why one of the main reasons I'm in education. There is some sense of satisfaction in helping students grow and become better citizens, better people.
You mentioned that going to Landers, it had lots of potential. And what did you think of when you first came to SAU? What drew you to SAU?
Well, there was a new president here, an individual that I did not know, but I knew that the institution had some new leadership, and oftentimes new leadership gives people opportunity to do things they otherwise could not do, and so that was attractive to me. It was a state institution, had a long, strong history of serving people of South Arkansas. And Bob Pierce told me it was a good job, and I trust Bob Pierce's judgment.
Have you ever taught at a private institution?
No, ma'am.
No. Was that just by choice, or?
I think it was just by accident. I went to state schools and worked in public schools and in public institutions, and I've never had the opportunity to work in a private school. I'm sure that would be rewarding as well.
So you don't see really an advantage either way of?
Well, I think there are some things about working in a private school that would be less frustrating than in a public institution. I'm not sure that's more desirable, but private schools generally don't have the regulatory bureaucracy to control them as much as public schools. Those kinds of regulations can be frustrating. I've seen an increasing amount of that over the last 30 years, where government, both federal, state, and even local, have impacted in not necessarily a positive way higher education and education in general. And so the private schools have the luxury of not having to deal with that, in my opinion.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ball. We've been speaking with Vice President Dr. Ball, a new president-elect for Landers University. I'm Lisa Stegall.
And I'm Cara Guinn.
The SAU Report is a production of broadcast journalism students in the Department of Theater and Mass Communication at Southern Arkansas University in Magnolia.